fellow music fans, welcome back to Psychology of Rock. If you're new here, my name's Nina, and I am so excited today because we are going to be doing a lyrical analysis of one of the warnings to new songs, HYCAD. I'll be doing Camus Caris next, and what makes my job a little bit easier today is that the band actually gave a quote to blabbermouth.net about the inspiration for this song, so we have a general direction to go in. But what's interesting is that my initial feeling about what the song was about has absolutely nothing to do with the meaning they gave. So let's go ahead and look at the quote. It says, Dany notes, Hell You Call a Dream tries to express a feeling most musicians find hard to express. When you're touring, you experience the positives, the negatives, and the whole spectrum of emotion all at once. It's about how something you love so much can be something that also weighs you down, but you continue to do it out of love. It's fulfilling, but it's tiring. Now, I really thought the song was about a toxic relationship that was once everything that she wanted, but now the protagonist is being gaslit and feeling trapped because this quote-unquote dream relationship is starting to cage her in and become a nightmare. But because the love and the thrill is still there, she is conflicted and she is wondering whether or not it's still worth it. Now, even though this is not the official interpretation of the song according to the band, I don't think I was alone in my assumption. I also think that this analysis lines up beautifully with the song and could be very relatable to people experiencing this type of relationship. In fact, I think many of us have been in this type of relationship at one point or another and hopefully have gotten out of it. But because Dany was kind enough to fill us in on the true inspiration for the song, that is the lens that we're going to analyze the song through today. But I have to say before we start that I truly believe that the band absolutely loves what they do, that it is their dream despite the hardships and the very real sacrifices that they have to make that we, the audience, don't necessarily get to see because it's all behind the scenes. I don't think that they would trade this for anything in the world. I think they know that they were made for music, and I think they have a pretty good understanding of just how much their music means to other people. And because of this, I think it's important to remember that lyrically, sometimes words and phrases are used artistically for emphasis that may make a situation seem more dire than it really is because it makes for a more impactful song. And also, sometimes writing a song can be a form of catharsis. It's a way to get the negativity out and express your darker feelings before they start to affect you on a deeper level. I say this because the title itself seems a little bit at odds with the quote that Dany gave, and certainly at odds with their general attitude and behavior. I do not believe for a moment that they think of their experience as being hellish and that other people are trying to convince them that it's a dream, as the title might imply. So without diminishing their very real sacrifices that they are needing to make for their art, which we can really only speculate about because we're not walking in their shoes, it's important to remember that even though a song can be inspired by real emotion or real experiences, that the lines aren't always completely autobiographical. There's some artistic liberty there, and sometimes lines are chosen intentionally to be dramatic. So with all of that being said, let's go ahead and look at the song. I think it is absolutely brilliant, especially when they play it live. But please keep in mind that this is just my own personal analysis. I'm in no way trying to speak for the band, and there can, of course, be other interpretations. So the song starts with the line, I've been invaded by the need to stay inside this cage. I think this line can be interpreted in two ways. If we think about it literally, touring musicians spend a lot of time on buses and planes, so they feel confined. It may also represent the feeling of being trapped in a routine where every day feels like the last one. She goes on to say, day after day, I'm hurting, but I choose to stay this way. I think this highlights the physical and mental strain of touring, and she's saying that despite the pain, she keeps going because of her love for music and her fans. She then says, running out of things to say. Maybe this has to do with interviews or people asking the same questions over and over, or feeling like it's hard to be creative when you have this kind of demanding schedule. Then there's the line, isn't it normal to love what we hate? I think this line, as Dany explained, captures the essence of the song, that musicians can love music and performing while hating the downsides of touring. Next, she says, it's draining me out just the same. And again, I think she's just referencing the emotionally and physically demanding aspects of life on the road and how, despite her passion, it's getting to her. She then says, I'm in too deep. And I think that just means that either, even if she wanted out, it wouldn't be possible, or she's just emphasizing her commitment to all of this. Then comes the chorus where she says, give me something to believe. She wants something to mentally hold on to, something to remind her why this is all worth it. She's looking for some kind of positive reinforcement because she then calls the experience this hell you call a dream. I think this line is very interesting because, as I said earlier, I've never gotten the impression that they were pushed or coerced in any way to pursue music professionally. So I very much doubt that others are trying to convince the band that all of this is a dream and in reality it's just their personal hell. There's just no signs of that. I do think, however, that there must be days and situations that are extremely difficult and that it's natural to have moments where you might question your choice because of the sacrifices and challenges that you might have. Constantly touring, I'm sure, makes it very hard to have romantic relationships if they're interested in having them. And it's probably close to impossible to do a lot of things that other young women are able to do at their age. But again, I really feel that in reality, it is worth it for them, that this is their dream and they're just recognizing the hardships that come with it in a very human way. The song goes on to say, colliding every time, which I think is just again portraying the constant clash between their love of music and the overwhelming nature of touring, or maybe even her own contradicting thoughts about everything. She goes on to say, the chaos drives me wild like an animal. This is my favorite line in the song, and I also really like how Dany sings it. I think she's just saying that all of this makes her feel like a wild animal trapped in a chaotic situation and that it never lets up. This is highlighted even further in the next line when she says, just wanna breathe. She's inferring that she just needs a break to catch her breath and just be free for a while. We then move on to the next verse where she says, my vision's blurry as the pain keeps crawling up my skin. I think this imagery is reflecting her exhaustion and some of the physical pain that is involved with this career. It suggests that she's so tired sometimes that she can't see straight and that her body is tired from the physical exertion of constantly doing shows. She goes on to say the pressure's building and I'm on the verge of caving in, suggesting that she's almost to her breaking point and she doesn't know how much longer she can do this. Now the next line is interesting. She says, ready or not for the kill. I think she might be saying that she's at the mercy of the touring schedule and her obligations with the band, and that it doesn't matter if she's up for it, the show must go on. She then says, if this can't bring me to life, then what will? I think this shows her desperation and her confusion about why this thing that she wanted more than anything isn't making her feel more alive and impassioned, because it should be an exhilarating experience. She goes on to say that she's suffering just for the thrill, meaning that she is enduring all the constant travel, pressure, and exhaustion so that she can have the joy and excitement of performing, which is something that she loves. Then we have some repeats in the lyrics until we get to the final verse that starts with the line, eyes are always open in the dark. I think this could just again be showing her exhaustion and that she can't sleep, or the constant vigilance that would be required on tour where you are never really able to clock out. Even when they're not performing or writing music, they are taking care of social media or filming backstage or just taking care of all kinds of other responsibilities that as fans we don't always get to see. She then says, I've been underwater right from the start. This just kind of reinforces the feelings of being drowned or suffocated by the experience. The water might symbolize the constant flow of shows, interviews, and travel, and her admitting that she's felt overwhelmed from the beginning. I think the next line, rope is wearing thin, illustrates this idea perfectly, that the pressure is breaking her down and she doesn't know how much more of this she can take. But the next line, which I think is one of the most brilliant in the song, says, I can't take this anymore, more. To me, this is showing the duality of her feelings about everything. On one hand, it's a desperate cry for relief or a break, but on the other hand, she immediately asks for more of this. This really summarizes Dany's initial quote about the whole experience being tiring but fulfilling, and ultimately knowing that she's taken the right path. Now, the only line after this section that isn't a repeat says, maybe I don't want to be in this hell you call a dream. But again, I think in the context of Dany's explanation, I really don't think it's suggesting that she wants to quit music. I think it's just a plea to find balance, to have this dream without having to sacrifice as much, without all this toll on her well-being. I think it's just a way of saying that she needs to find a way to cope with all of this so that she can continue to do what she loves. I think in a nutshell, the song is just about the constant struggle between passion and the hardships that come along with it. Now, I think we can all agree that Dany, Pau, and Ali have shown nothing but love and gratitude for their ability to make music, go on tour, and to connect with their fans. I also think that there's a lot of protective factors there that will help allow them to have a long, fulfilling career, with the biggest one being that they have an incredible amount of support, including being surrounded by their own family, and I think that really does go a long way. And after analyzing the song, I think it has a lot to do with catharsis and just acknowledging that all of this is a lot harder than people may think. We have no idea what their lives are like. We only know what they choose to show us. And I think sometimes that we can forget everything that they really are putting into this. But as Dany says, you do it out of love. So those are my thoughts on HYCAD, but I can't wait to hear yours. They absolutely never disappoint, and I love reading through them. As always, I truly hope that you enjoyed today's analysis. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you have not done so already. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week.